I do?
Okay, here's what you do. You equip yourself.
I'm equipping.
Okay.
Equip me,
Now.
sir.
What is going on, everybody? Nasdorachi coming back at you again today with another video for Dragon Ball Legends. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is going to be a little bit different. I had a couple of friends and some other people request equipment guides, and I didn't really know how to put it together, but I think I've kind of figured out a way where we can efficiently cover relevant teams relatively quickly and do it kind of as a series or mini-series where we can review, you know, different equipments, different teams over different videos. So today we're going to be reviewing the most optimal equipment for two of the most heavily used teams you're going to see around right now, which is going to be Regeneration and Son family. Now, I do have to apologize. There's one crucial piece of equipment that I am missing from the Cell games. I just haven't had the time to do it because I've been playing mostly PvP. So this piece right here, especially if you have Slug or Cell, is going to definitely be one of the pieces you're going to want to get. Again, you're getting it from the new Cell Games event. So be sure to get that one if you do plan to run Regeneration. I will run my guide accordingly and will incorporate that one even though I don't have it at the moment. And you'll see there's a couple other pieces that I don't have because they suck and I've sold them to make room for more better equipment or just the new Cell event. I haven't done that as well. So, alright you guys, we're going to hop in here and do this hopefully as quickly as we possibly can. So, we're going to jump in here and we'll check out the Son family first because this is the underdog team. I like this team more personally because I was going to do a Regeneration PvP team showcase, as you can see from the overlay, but Regeneration is pretty much all you see in PvP right now. Like, if you want to showcase it, just go play PvP and you'll find out for yourself. So I'm not sure I wanted to do that today. This may be maybe a little bit more useful, maybe not for veteran players, but for newer intermediate players, you know, that's what I kind of figured. So jumping in, assuming you have these characters or something similar to this and you're running this team right here, you would have possibly the ultimate Gohan, so you just incorporate similar stuff for him, because again, I don't have him, so I can't really cover characters I don't have, you guys, but I'll try to include them as well. But for the main lineup here, I'm using the top 3 characters, and we'll jump into Gohan first here. So the most optimal equipment that you could possibly run on Gohan, or at least that I personally run on Gohan, is going to be listed here. Again, there are some optional choices. I'll try and go over those as well. You will definitely want an piece of equipment because we're looking to buff Gohan's defenses a little bit. His defenses are not super great at the start of battle, and we're looking to buff his blast attack. Those are the main features of Gohan that we're trying to buff, with an off of either HP or critical, I would personally say. So we got the strike defense, blast attack, and strike defense here on this piece. Definitely super useful because again, Gohan can be a little bit squishy, so we're gonna want defenses and blast attack. So you're gonna want to throw that one on here. Next, I have picked this key, it's gotta be, for the very same reasons. We're looking at blast attack, we're looking at defense, and for this one we're looking at critical. So this is a really good piece of equipment to throw on your Gohan there. And lastly on him, I've chosen this one right here. Now there are a couple optional swaps you could make for this last piece. Again, we're looking at a highly offensive piece of equipment here. Blast attack, strike attack, and critical. These will compile with the other critical buffs on the second piece of equipment, and you'll get a nice triple stack of blast attack across all 3 as well, with a little buff to his strike attack. Gohan does pretty good strike attack, so it's not a waste buffing that slot right there. Now, for optional stuff, if you do have a highly rolled Leave My Dad Alone, you could consider running this one as well. The only issue I have with running this one over the silver one is the slot 3 is kind of wasted for Gohan on this piece of equipment. He really doesn't need Ki Restore. If you're running him the way that he's meant to be run as an anchor character and your other characters have died first, he buffs his own Ki Restore amazingly well. So you really don't need Ki Restore on Gohan all that much. So that's why I personally, along with the fact that I don't have one with good rolls on it, I've kind of avoided this piece of equipment right here. I don't really think it's necessary for Gohan. As well, we could look at this silver piece of equipment here. I'm getting excited. It's very, very defensive, but again, it features the Ki Restore, which Gohan doesn't really need. I personally prefer the crit buffs from the Broly piece of equipment, but this one is another good optional choice, you guys. You'll get more defense, and you'll get Ki Restore Speed and Blast Attack, which are, you know, 2 out of the 3 of these are pretty optimal for Gohan. So that's an option. You do also have the new PvP piece of equipment that's dropping with Strike Defense, Blast Attack, and Strike Attack. Again, this one is perfectly fine if you've got one with a high roll. I just have been preferring the crit and the blast attack that is at 10% that I have on that Broly piece. Now, that silver piece of equipment is not to be slept on, you guys. It is a very good offensive piece of equipment. Moving to our next character here, we have Goku. He is a strike damage based Saiyan, and every single strike damage based Saiyan in the game should be rocking Yulpei, you guys. It is a mainstay again. Any strike damage Saiyan should be using this equipment. You have the strike attack, critical, and Ki Restore Speed. All things that are very useful to have on equipment. These are actually some of the best things you could possibly have on equipment, besides some other very specific stuff. Buffs to ultimate arts damage on a character that can actually take use of that is really good. Buffs to HP are good, but this is extremely optimal again, you guys, on any strike damage based Saiyan. Next up, we have Goku's, like, the signature piece of equipment for this Goku, the 3x Kaioken Kamehameha. Buffs his defenses, which he actually has pretty decent defenses once he goes Kaioken, while he has his defensive buff active, you guys. So this will help that out a little bit. Buffs his strike attack and special move damage, all things that work really well for this Goku. And lastly, I have Of Course on him here for, again, more strike attack, more defenses, and it gives him a little bit of work towards working in a disadvantaged state with that 3rd slot. So you'll be able to not necessarily win, but it'll just, again, it'll help him weather that storm if you're, you know, using him as an in-betweener, or if for whatever reason, you know, you're stuck in a bad matchup as your last character left alive. It's a helpful, very specialized slot right there, you guys. Very good. Now, some alternatives you could maybe run on him would be the wait a sec equipment here, but, you know, I don't know. I personally don't like this one as much. It gives you a crap ton of critical and good strike attack, but you will more often than not be seeing regeneration in the meta right now, so the 3rd slot is very niche. It'll be very helpful if you're squaring up against another team with Gohan on it, or Future Gohan, Mystic Gohan, Ultimate Gohan, whatever you want to call him. But it's a little bit more specialized, less general, you guys, but still a reasonable option. You also have the Spirit Bomb here, will buff his strike attack, but the other 2 slots are not very good for this Goku. I wouldn't really recommend that one. Krillin here is a Z tier piece of equipment that I got just randomly. This one is also not very optimal because it's buffing blast attack. So you do also have elites can be beaten, but this is blast attack again, so not very helpful for him at all. You won't want to rock that one. This is kind of the best setup right here for your Kaioken Goku with these 3 pieces. Moving on to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he has the Yulpei as well. We don't really need to go over that again. It's just good for every single strike-based Saiyan in the game. We're also rocking all up to my fists, which gives him a little bit of defenses, which Super Saiyan 3 Goku desperately needs. Gives him damage to his blue card and his ultimate arts technique, and gives him Vanishing Gauge Restore. Kind of a specialized piece of equipment, but it works extremely well for this Super Saiyan 3 Goku, which is why I've chosen it. And then I have Strike Attack, Blast Attack, and the damage to Frieza Force. It's just honestly, in my opinion, the best 3rd equipment that he has available. Although arguably, you won't want to run that one. There's not very many other good options, you guys. All base Blast Attack, stuff like that. This one right here is an option. If you have a good 2nd slot roll on it, I think We Can Do It would be a good option. But honestly, you guys, that's why I have the Spirit Bomb piece on there, because we're still kind of missing another good piece of equipment for him there. Next up, these 3 characters you generally won't use very much, but we'll go over them anyway just in case you have a good matchup here. The Vegeta, of course, rocking Yulpei. He's a defensive type, but he can still make really good use of the buffs on that. Since he's defensive type, he's kind of split between both attack types. This piece of equipment will go great for him as well here, King Vegeta. And then I have this Sacred Water, on here because I rolled a really good one for blast-based characters. So he's just taking good use of that right there. You could theoretically run some of this other stuff on him, some of the older pieces, but I kind of have him set up in, I think, the most optimal way with those pieces we're looking at right there. So we don't have to spend too much time on him. Pan we can actually go over here because she is usable. She's actually my second most powerful character in my entire box behind the new Gohan, you guys. So Pan is definitely usable. Generally, you're going to want strike damage stuff on her as well, and defenses, so it's okay now as a great piece for Pan. You also have the Android 18 piece. It's got great strike damage buffs, buffs to health, and additional damage when she's in a color advantage. So there's nothing wrong with that one right there. And then we have her grandfather's piece of equipment here, the 3x Kaioken Kamehameha, again buffing defenses, her special move damage, and strike attack. I think that that's going to be most optimal for her. Again, you're not running on a female warriors team, so that piece is not going to be super useful. If you have good second roll on romantic drive, you may consider using that one. But otherwise, I don't know, Krillin here, again, the third slot is very niche, kind of wasted in a lot of fights where you may end up using her. I think that those are the best for her, you guys. Blast attack, she doesn't need it. But again, if you have a highly rolled Leave My Dad Alone, you could consider running that as well. She doesn't really need the key restore either, you guys, though. So it's kind of questionable as to whether or not you'd run that on her. And then you do have, of course, as an option as well, but that's, you know, that's on my Kaioken Goku. I only have one of them that's rolled pretty well. But this isn't also an option for her here. It'll help her out again in disadvantaged situations, buff strike attack, and defenses there. Oh, damn, son. I appreciate that. We're not live streaming, we're just recording a video, but it popped up anyway, so why not? Damn, son. I appreciate that, my friend. Alright, moving forward, you guys, we have the Goten on here. I'm only running him because I do not have Ultimate Gohan, but you would most likely want to build them similarly, although there's going to be some differences here. Of course, we have this key. It's what? The blast attack? Why do we have that on Goten? Maybe I just don't have anything better for him. Oh, no, I do now. Yeah, this key, it's got to be, we can swap that out there. That was just a filler before I got a good piece of the PvP rolls there. Now we can move on to this one, buffing strike attack, defenses, key restore, angry Super Saiyan, great for Goten. However, that one will not work on your Ultimate Gohan, you guys. Again, I apologize. I didn't pull Ultimate Gohan, but build him with good hybrid pieces of equipment that buff strike attack, that buff potentially ultimate arts damage or special move damage if he has one of those available. I don't really know what he can use. I mean, I could go through the list and meticulously, you know, chart out all the green and strike damage pieces of equipment, but I can just in a more general sense tell you to build him with strike attack, build him with stuff that'll buff defenses, build him with stuff that's going to buff key restore. Those are the main stats you're going to be looking for out of all this. So you can kind of generally apply that mold to most everyone except for in very specialty cases. But we have strike attack here, special move damage, so if you are using Goten, come out cowards, and the Super Saiyan angry piece are not bad for him, you guys. Again, that's just what I'm restricted to using. Leave without saving. No, let's confirm that since we swapped out this key it's gotta be. Alright, you guys, that's for, again, my personal Son family. If you have the 5-star Future Gohan or the 5-star version of the Ultimate Gohan, they make great additions to the team. And again, build them accordingly with some defensive options, with strike attack. Both of them are going to favor strike attack, and any other quirky things like key restore, increased HP. Those are the things you're really looking for. Next up, we'll hop over to the Regeneration team here, and we can check this one out real quick, and then we'll probably be done with this video. These are, again, two very popular teams that are in the meta, and I want to keep these relatively short. I'm not going to go over every single character, every single team, all their equipment in one video. It would take an epoch to do that. Alright, you guys, so starting with Slug here, we have some different options. Remember, he is the melee character on Regeneration that could make good use of that equipment that I said I didn't have that came from the brand new Cell Games event. So definitely consider throwing that one on here, you guys. It's going to buff his strike attack. It's going to help him out quite a bit. But what I have on my Slug in the meantime, just till I get one of those pieces, no way. It's going to buff your defenses here. It's going to buff his health. So you also have the new Regeneration piece of equipment for blue only that's dropping from the Cell event. If you need some more defensive options for him, you could look to that one as well. But I have no way on there. Then we're looking at strike damage buffs here, again with this piece, and setting him up with a little bit more of a good stance against color disadvantage. We don't really have to spend too much more time on that one. We covered it already. It works great for Slug as well. Then we have base critical, base strike attack, and hybrid Saiyan defense. There's, again, not as many hybrid Saiyans teams as Regen, but it's still going to be somewhat useful because you will run up against people running the new Gohan. And then you have your strike attack and your critical buff there. So very useful for him. You could as well potentially run this piece right here. You can get some more defenses, you can get some more strike attack. But his blast attack, Slug's blast attack, is abysmal. No matter what you do, the yellow cards for Slug are not going to be putting out very good damage. So it's kind of a wasted slot, buffing blast attack for him whatsoever. You kind of want to fill it with anything else besides that. Again, a lot of these pieces are down here. You're not going to need that third slot, really defense against Android. It'll help if you're up against a perfect Cell or one of the more rare Androids teams you'll see floating around. But other than that, I don't think that one's going to stand up quite as good as one that's directly buffing his strike attack. You also have with this Movies piece of equipment, buffing blast attack, not really worth your time. This one right here could be useful if you have a Ha that's highly rolled, but again, the third slot kind of wasted, but he'll make good use of the special move and the defense there. Just kind of based around what you have, you guys. I think the three that I'm wearing are the most optimal, mixed with the option of that new one that, again, I do not have yet. But between Cell and Slug, they're the only two members of this team that are going to want to run that. Also, I don't have Cell, but you're going to want to build Cell, strike attack, some limited defense stuff, key restore, critical. Pretty much all that standard stuff is going to work for Cell as well, for being a melee character. So moving on to Djemba, he is defensive, and his stats would have you believe that he is more inclined to favor blast attack. However, the margin between the two is so close that I prefer building my Djemba with strike attack. There's another reason for that too, which we can quickly mention, is that when you pair Zamasu on the team, Zamasu has buffs for slice-based damage. Of course, then Djemba having the sword can make good use of that buff if Zamasu's throwing it out. So I prefer building Djemba for strike attack here. This piece of equipment buffs defense and buffs both forms of his attack. Again, because he's so balanced, it's actually not bad to build him with both strike and blast attack buffs. I favor strike attack with Djemba. So I think we can do it as good for him there. Again, with the piece right here with Piccolo on it, you're buffing both forms of his attack and defense. So this is a great one uniquely for Djemba here. And then we have a defensive piece right here, buffing both forms of defense and his health. Djemba is already a tanking monster, so anything you can do to increase that is going to help out significantly. Buffing both forms of defense and health, that is really good for Djemba. You could again optionally run this piece right here. However, Sagas from the Movies is not your primary focus on Regen, so the third slot can be kind of a waste on that one. You could run a really good Sacred Water on him if you have one that's optimal for what you're looking for Djemba. I don't really like this piece of equipment at all. I think this piece is quite bad. I'll send it back. The health buff on it is nice, but we're not really running any other yellow members. Third slot's a waste, and we can get defense off of other pieces that also buff offense. The Piccolo piece right here, third slot again, somewhat wasted. Djemba really isn't going to make great use of critical damage either, so the key restore speed would be the only thing on here helping him out. Not a very good piece for our friend Djemba there. This is what I would run on your Djemba, you guys. Remember, he's not a strike damage character, so he can't wear that new piece. It's only for melee-based units. For Zamasu here, going up into him, very important unit. He, again, just like Djemba, is a defensive unit, but his stats are extremely close with a little bit of leaning towards blast attack. However, for the same reason that he's got buffs for his slice damage, his strike attack has the key sword on his hand, you're going to want to slant him on your own towards strike damage and not blast. So, let's actually put that back on there. We're looking at this one right here, buffs both his defenses and his strike attack. again, as a super tanky unit. Bringing that up even to another level is great, and we're going to have that strike damage buff on there that we wanted. Same thing here. This one's going to be buffing both of his attacks since they're so close in stat range. This is also good for Zamasu here, and buffing his crit a little bit. So he'll make good use out of the crit buff also there. You know, pretty good piece for him. Then we're running the Master Korin. This piece is almost identical to that Gohan piece, but we're getting strike attack and both buffs to defense there. So we'll have the same thing, just increasing his defenses to the next level as well as adding on strike attack. I think those are the best pieces possible for Zamasu right here out of everything we have available. You know, if you want to dispute that with some more defense possibly, I don't know, you could run this one as well, but you'll be buffing his blue card damage and the blast attack, but I don't know, you guys. To that degree, it is a little subjective. Again, I think it's better to make use of his slice damage than to build him heavier towards, you know, his blast attack. You see they're so close, 73,000 versus 74,000. The difference is pretty much negligible there, you guys. So I would build him more towards strike personally. Next up here, we have another functional character on the team that you may find yourself using a lot. We have Piccolo. Piccolo has some interesting pieces of equipment, and he is, again, another defensive character who has got a negligible difference between strike and blast. But he is slanted more towards strike this time, which is favorable. But the equipment I've selected for Piccolo here, we're going to look at their blast attack, strike attack, and 12.8% damage to Android. It'll be good when you match up against other perfect cells, since you will see a lot of regeneration mirror matchups. And then you have the double offense buff. So definitely not bad for Piccolo. Again, characters that are defensive and have a negligible split between their two offense types can make good use of those double offense buffs. Other specialized characters, I don't really worry about that too much. We have critical, key restore, defense against Android. This will help again versus mostly Cell, but you may run up against some other green EX17 and purple EX18 teams, so it could help out in that situation there. And a critical damage buff. And then we have an older silver piece of equipment, strike attack, blast defense, key restore. Even though this piece is old, the stats on it aren't super great in terms of their numerical values, it's still pretty helpful for Piccolo, and honestly I think one of the better ones you could give him. Now you could give this one Know You're Gonna Die on there instead if you have a good roll on the special move damage, but again, I really just don't like this piece of equipment. I'll send it back. We don't have too many other options for Piccolo there. Again, he's not a melee type either, so he can't use that really good new piece of equipment. Demon King Piccolo, I only ever run him when I'm in like the purple-purple-red matchup. I may consider bringing the yellow unit. If you have Perfect Cell, he's undoubtedly going to bring the yellow melee damage to your team instead of DKP, but I don't have Perfect Cell, you guys. But you probably want to build them fairly similarly. Again, I don't have that new piece of equipment, but you're going to want to run that one on him, the new one from the Cell Games event. Again, strike damage, regeneration units, put that on him if he's a melee type. This one right here, you're also going to want to have on him absurd damage buff to strike damage up to like 20%, key restore speed, and defense against Saiyans. That one's going to be very helpful. The slot 3 is definitely not a waste. It won't help against Gohan, but it'll help against a lot of other Saiyan matchups you will fairly consistently always see in this game. So you'll probably want to run the new piece of equipment, this I'm an Elite, and then on there as well I have, wrong button. And then on there as well, I have this guy right here, critical key restore, defense against Android. You can run that on your Cell also. You'll probably want to build the DKP and the Cell fairly similarly because they're both yellow, they're both melee types. They should have access to most all the same equipment, regeneration speaking. So I would honestly run this Vegeta piece right here. Instead of the silver Frieza piece I have, I'd swap in the new piece of equipment for melee regeneration units. And then the Piccolo piece, that one can probably stay. So that's probably how you would want to build your DKP. The red Cell, completely irrelevant. He's only on the bench for strike damage buff to the team. You may not even be running him. You might have the green Boo or the blue EX Boo. Both of them would be different builds subjectively for what they're. You can just build for their specific damage type. Again, Boo's defensive, so buff his defensive stats, buff stuff that's going to help him survive longer. The EX Boo, I believe, is Blast type. I'm not 100% on that. Yeah, so the new EX Boo, you'd want to build him with Blast damage, stuff that increases super move power if possible. That would be really good for him. And then that's pretty much it for those two teams, you guys. We got the equipment down. Again, the Perfect Cell, we don't really need to cover him. I don't really run him at all. But I've been having success running both the Regeneration team and the Son family team. Both of these teams are the meta teams that you're going to see more often than not, with some of the older teams like Holy Trinity, and you'll see some androids, some other hybrid Saiyans or future or females teams. Those are the teams you're going to see the most of, with the majority of it being Regeneration and Son family. So that's kind of the shakedown for this video, you guys. We covered equipment for those two teams. If you found this helpful, if you like this kind of video, definitely give me a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments. I can keep making these for other team builds. I kind of want to cut it off there so it's not too long, you guys. But again, if you'd like to see more of these, definitely let me know down below. Share it so more people can see it. If you're new around here, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so I can see you again on all my future uploads. I would love to have all of you guys join up and be new members of the family. If you're already a subscriber, I appreciate each and every one of you guys who come and view the videos back to back, day after day. You guys, I appreciate it. Sorry I've been absent for the past 2 days. I was a little bit busy, but that's pretty much a wrap for this video, you guys. Comment down below. I will try and respond to most everybody, and I will see you on the next video, you guys. Peace out. Have a good one.